So I think we should start now, Joseph.
Yeah, can definitely start. Good afternoon, everyone, or probably good morning or good evening to those joining us outside of New Zealand. I hope you are all keeping dry and warm on this wintry weather, well, at least for us here in Wellington and for the rest of the North Island, I would think. And welcome to our first ever OpenShift virtual meetup. And glad to have everyone today. I'm Joseph Tehal, and I'll be your moderator for the session alongside Andrew Sporgen. And we are delighted to have two speakers from Red Hat sharing the latest on OpenShift and container security. First up, we got a Red Hat rockstar in the house in the name of Andrew Block. He is gracing us from the United States. He is a senior principal consultant here at Red Hat. And of course, another familiar face to the community, another OpenShift enthusiast, Michael Calizo. He's our senior solutions architect based in Wellington, New Zealand. So a few notes before we start. FYI, this session is being recorded for everyone's reference. We will share the video with you guys after the session. And we are more than happy to answer all your questions. So make sure you post those queries on the Q&A box that's on the right side of your screen. And finally, let's make this interactive, yeah? Let's have fun as we learn. And then we have all the, I think, the chat box where you can interact with your fellow attendees. Of course, it would be lovely if you can share some of your thoughts as well. Alrighty, let's get the ball rolling. Over to you, Michael.
Yeah, hi, good morning, good afternoon now to everyone from Wellington, New Zealand. It's very cold up here. So anyway, the meetup for today is supposed to be, talking about OpenShift 4.4 update, but as some of you already know, we will be releasing 4.5 in a week times. And I'll be covering that update, and then I will give Andrew the table so that he can do his magic on the demos and discussion with regards to container security. So before I go to 4.5, I just want to give you guys a bit of an information of what we have dropped or what we have put together in 4.4. So as normal on OpenShift 4, we always have themes. And then OpenShift 4.3, what we deliver is we provided an HCD operator. So this is to provide an edge capabilities. The cost management is also available now for customers to basically have visibility on cost and chargeback as well. Of course, OpenShift is a developer tool, so we always make sure that we empower developers, and we provided Helm in addition to for admin developer console as well, so that they can focus on the delivery of their application. In 4.4 as well, serverless was GA with with serving features, and 4.5 will get the eventing as well. And of course, as a reminder, in 4.3 we have Service Mesh GA, and I'm going to talk a little bit about serverless and Service Mesh because that's my favorite features in OpenShift. So in previous minor version of OpenShift 4, we talk about the big improvement on installer. We also talk about OpenShift, on how we introduced in OpenShift 4.2 the focus on security, where FIPS mode were introduced, and how FIPS uses OpenSSL inside of the Go runtime itself, and because of that, it touches the platform all over. And with basically FIPS mode enabled. This is how serious we take container security, as you know. Containers are Linux, or introduced Linux kernel features other than OSS. And of course, Kubernetes as its heart. In OpenShift 4.5, again, we are continuing with our 3 themes. And what we provide in 4.5 is the updated, addition of the IPI for vSphere, so that you can deploy OpenShift, using infrastructure, installer-provided infrastructure. as well as we have the next theme around router improvements, as well as we are getting a major bump on the version of Elasticsearch to version 6, part of the 4.5. And what I want to show here is basically the overall architecture of OpenShift. What I want to highlight here is the addition of ACM, which is our multi-cluster management, where you can use to discover your Kubernetes we call this platform, or and then use this to apply policy and compliance and even deploy workloads based on a context of where your cluster is. And of course, we also introduces OpenShift Kubernetes engine for a lightweight deployment. OKE is basically using the same source code as OpenShift, but with limited features and functionality. In 4.4, as a reminder, because I am supposed to be giving an update on 4.4. As you notice here, we combined OpenShift 4.5 and 4.6, and we targeted this release almost at the same time. In 4.4, we basically GA'd Knative or OpenShift Serverless. We provide using serving features. We provided compliance operator as well. This is for governance. And in the future, I think it will be in 4.6 that we will have Windows container as well as part of that release. Now, moving to 4.5 now, this is what we deliver. As you can see, there's a ton of work that went on 4.5, which is slated for Q2. On here, we will actually ship this on July 9th, which is a week from now. Looking at 4.6, you can see how some of our upcoming features are going to progress. I myself is particularly excited about the OVNGA, which will be in 4.6. The bare metal IPI is going to be used to win a win for customers who want to use bare metal on their OpenShift deployment. We will be enabling remote workers as well. This has been requested for a long time ago, especially for the telco customer. And last but not the least, we are going to GA 4.6, Windows container on 4.6. And of course, looking beyond that, the most notable OpenShift build GA and single node cluster coming early in 2021. So talking about the improvement on installer or installation experience, for OpenShift 4, there are two primary installation experience: the full stack automation, which now includes VMware vSphere, and the pre-existing infrastructure deployments, which basically on your right side. You can do IPI on AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, OpenStack, Rev, and VMware vSphere. In addition to that, IBM Cloud is going to be available for UPI as well. So most of our customer, we use vSphere, and here are some of the notable addition for if you're thinking of installing vSphere IPI installation. So basically, it uses the same provision to what you call this? The same installer provision infrastructure, follows the same flow as other platform with minor additional requirements. So basically, you need to have two reserved static IP address for API and ingress. and you need to have vCenter root CA certificate to System Trust. So first, you download these certificates from vCenter. Of course, you can visit the vCenter from your homepage in the browser, you know. And then, in general, the certs can be downloaded from, URL of your vCenter/search and then /download that zip. And then you can unzip this downloaded file, and then you can add this on the appropriate location on your system. Most of the time, you put this in etc pki ca trust. Once you have that, you then create install config, and then create a cluster. And of course, you can also destroy a cluster. Unlike other platform, as a reminder again, vSphere, the user credential are saved in the install config location. Talking about 4.6, and I think that's why we deliver 4.5 earlier than planned, is because we are going to release the first extended update support release for OpenShift 4, or also known as AUS. So as you can see here, we will be releasing this around October, and that specific version of OpenShift 4.6 will be supported until March of 2022. So we will be introducing stability here, and we will be providing, critical security update and bug fixes for customer who wants to stay on that specific version of OpenShift. Of course, you always will have option to update your 4.6 to 4.7 or the latest, depending on features that you wanted. Now, in OpenShift 4.5, we deliver CRYO version 1.18 and Kubernetes version 1.18 as well. Some of the notable features that is delivered in this version is, one is the PBC cloning that allows for cloning of PBC within the cluster. Tainted base eviction, where automatically taints nodes with no execute when they become unready or unreachable. Pod spreading across failure domains enable Kubernetes scheduler to spread a group of pods across failure domains. And these are the features that are available on Kubernetes, which we inherit and use it on OpenShift 4.5. Now, one thing that we are excited as well are the hosted OpenShift that basically we deliver and partner with the likes of Azure or of Microsoft and AWS. So here are the broad this set of hybrid. Sorry, someone's saying talking.
All good, Michael.
Okay, cool. I hear something. All right, cool. So what I'm trying to say here is basically AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. You can get OpenShift managed either by Red Hat or partner with Red Hat, as well as IBM Cloud, and of course, you'll always get the on-premise deployment. By the way, going back here, I just want to highlight as well that in addition to what you see here, Microsoft as well announced recently the intent to build a region in New Zealand, of course including Italy and Poland, and in about last month, and in that there will be Arrow deployed in. That's what I heard from Microsoft. So as part of the OpenShift 4.5 deliverables, the two favorite features that I always want to talk to our customer is service mesh and serverless. So let's talk about service mesh first. So service mesh was GA'd on 4.3. Many users will be excited because OpenShift Service Mesh 1.1, we see an update to Istio version 1.4 as well. With the intersection of OpenShift 4.3 and OSM for 1.1, we're able to take advantage of the OpenShift console's ability to direct link the console of operator managed application. Kali has been updated as well to use the latest and greatest pattern fly. Jaeger has also seen a few updates and now supports streaming of traces using Kafka as a transport. In addition to that, in 4.5, offline installation of service mesh is now possible without unsupported workaround, because some of our FSI customers wanted service mesh, and of course they're a secure environment most of the time. They want their deployments always disconnected. So that's one of the additional features that I think I would say exciting in OpenShift 4.5. So next is serverless. So in serverless, we have baked serverless capabilities into platform with OpenShift Serverless, enabling almost any containerized application to run serverless. That means you can choose any programming language of choice and enable auto-scaling behavior, scaling up to meet demand and scaling down even to zero if there is no traffic on that application. Beyond scaling of HTTP requests, you can trigger those serverless containers from a variety of event sources, and this is where eventing comes in as a features that can be received, such as Kafka messages, file upload to storage, timer for recurring jobs, and about 100 plus event sources like Salesforce, ServiceNow, emails, and others, other that you can think of, powered by CamelK. OpenShift Serverless is based on, of course, you already know, open source project code Knative, one of the fastest growing serverless project in the market. And this ensures that you don't suffer with lack in concern and can still get innovation from the growing open source community of Knative and open source people. So we are very happy to announce that OpenShift Serverless is now, of course, GA as part of 4.5, which means you can take it to production and run anywhere where OpenShift runs, basically, delivering your hybrid serverless experience with portability and flexibility. I'll talk about pipelines. Of course, pipelines is basically a Tekton-based offering that we bring in as part of OpenShift 4. OpenShift Pipelines 1.1, as we now released on 4.5, will include Tekton 0.13 or maybe 0.14 version. And OpenShift Pipelines now support webhook. You can mount volume as workspaces when starting the pipeline, and you can manage credential for get repositories and image registries, which is going to be useful for developers. And basically, that's it for me. I'll give the rest to Andrew for his demo. And if you guys have a question, yeah.
Yeah, we just got one question from Byron. Does the IPI installer for vSphere create DNS records, or do you need to create it in advance before running the
You
installer?
you need to create it. You need to create that in advance, Byron. I'll share to you, Byron, the document on how you do that in IPI for vSphere. I have a running IPI installation in my home lab right now, and I can share the procedure to you. The important thing here is the vCenter credentials, really. And once you get that, it's as simple as doing an IPI on AWS. But there are prerequisites that you need to do, like, the IP address for ingress routing, and the DNS that you need to set up as part of your installation.
It'll all be fully documented. So check the docs when 4.5 announces. And I think there's another couple of questions there, Joseph.
Yep, and there's one more from Chris. Is the dependency on the Red Hat Elasticsearch operator for Service Mesh, has it been removed on 4.4 and 4.5 by any chance?
What was the question again? Sorry, I was not able to.
Has the dependency on the Red Hat Elasticsearch operator for Service Mesh has been removed on 4.4, 4.5?
I am not aware that it was removed. I think you still need Elasticsearch operator for 4.5.
Yeah, I believe that is correct as well.
Yep.
Cool. It's Andrew's time, so he got more interesting and I call demo and presentation. So I'm also waiting for him to do his presentation. So you can share your screen now, Andrew.
Awesome. Will do. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it happens to be. I stopped dealing with time zones a long time ago. Let me see if I can share my screen. And here we go. Let me know if you can see my screen. Right now. There we go.
It's loading. Yep. Cool.
Awesome. All right. So today we're going to talk about embracing container security with Red Hat Quay and Clair. For those of you who are familiar with the container ecosystem, or just really any ecosystem, vulnerabilities and security are top of mind. And the first thing that you must be aware of is that security must be integrated into every single step of your business process. Everything from design to build to run, all the way through after you've gotten it to your runtime. How do you manage it? And then when you do iterate more and more with new features, new enhancements, how do you adapt to them? And I work with organizations all across the globe. I've even gone ahead and worked with some even in the New Zealand area in Wellington. So I've seen every organization of all makes and sizes, everything from they call mom and pop or small organizations to the main customer I work with these days is a Fortune 2 customer, so the second largest customer in the globe. So I'm interested to hear, especially put in the comments in your questions, what security concerns are you most concerned about? We'll come back to that during some of the Q&A. I'm interested to hear about some of the challenges that you see from a security standpoint. So I definitely want to leave this discussion today really just emphasizing the need for thinking about security before you even start, and then thinking about it through the entire life cycle. But in particular, we're going to focus really on 3 areas today. We're going to talk about where is our content coming from when it comes to container images. I'm hoping that most people who are attending today are at least familiar with container themselves as a layered file system, typically inherit the container from some location. The most popular out there is docker.io, Docker Hub. Unfortunately, Docker Hub has been known to have a lot of vulnerabilities. This came out 5 days ago, actually 6 days ago, stating that yet another vulnerability was found in Docker images. So if you're just downloading random images from Docker Hub, you may be introducing new vulnerabilities into your own personal laptop, but also worse, into your corporate network. Now, OpenShift as a secure platform has the ability to curate exactly what content is able to be run on the platform. If you want to go into the nitty-gritty, which I love doing, there is a custom resource called a image object that allows you to specify the different type of registries that you want to block. So in particular, if I had Docker Hub, I would go ahead and block docker.io here. And of course, we want to allow a trusted site like Quay and the Red Hat Container Catalog. We'll look at some of those a little later on, but we're just showing how OpenShift as a secure platform can go ahead and provide that type of security. And this type of security, by modifying this type of custom resource, allows you to not only block content at the API layer of OpenShift, but also at the container runtime. So by specifying this registry, it actually modifies the block registries in the underlying cryo runtime that Michael talked about not too long ago. We had some good updates in the 4.5 release. The second thing we want to think about now that we have our content is the content that we're packaging into our applications trusted and secure? This is everything from the base up. Everything from the image file systems that your containers inherit from, to all of the content that you're putting in it, and then the application itself. One of the components in this ecosystem is Clair. We'll talk a little bit about Clair as a container security scanner a little later on. But as I mentioned a minute ago, when it comes to image registries, Red Hat Quay is the enterprise registry of choice because it gives you all the benefits of a Docker Hub, Docker.io, but goes ahead and allows you to deploy this in your own environment. Many of you may be familiar with Quay.io, the hosted registry, but Red Hat Quay is the on-premise registry that you can deploy in your organization. A lot of my customers have a image registry solution that they've kind of bolted on or packaged into their existing artifact store. So stores like Artifactory and Nexus, are great artifact repositories, good for your Java jars, your Maven artifacts, your PyPy, your NPM. It was never designed as a image registry. The organizers of those components kind of packaged a Docker registry into it, but it was never designed for it. Quay was designed from the day up as a container registry. So it's secure by default and has a lot of the great capabilities that a image registry typically will have. So as I mentioned, Red Hat Quay is the industry-leading trusted open source, of course, registry platform, and it's been running at scale for over 6 years now. 2014 is when it was first released by our friends at CoreOS, which is now part of Red Hat. It does effectively manage content under governance and security controls. It allows you to run Quay anywhere, whether it be individual virtual machines, physical machines, or the best part to run Quay is within OpenShift, because you can take advantage of the elastic hybrid cloud container platform that can scale as necessary. And most importantly, you can go ahead and have the content that's provided by Quay is developed in the community. No large organization is going to have proprietary rights to the content. I myself have contributed greatly to the Quay ecosystem. I have put together 2 operators that are managing Quay on OpenShift. The Quay, actually 2.5. The Quay setup operator, which allows you to quickly and easily deploy Quay and its ecosystem of components, Clair, as well on OpenShift, as well as the Quay bridge operator that allows you to make use of Quay as a replacement for the OpenShift internal registry. Other features of Quay include, as I mentioned, the scalability, the ability to do automatic squashing, build automation. OpenShift does have a very, very robust build component, but if you wanted to use Quay as a build component, you can perform image builds within Quay. You can have, as I mentioned, the security assessments, vulnerability scanning, logging, and alerting. So whenever any changes or vulnerabilities are found, you can be alerted about it. My favorite is the content distribution, being able to run Quay at scale, having it be geo-replicated. So you can have multiple instances of Quay running throughout the world. I can push to my local image registry. So I'm here in North America. I can push to my image registry here in North America. The content can get replicated automatically to an image registry in another location, say in New Zealand. Security, as I mentioned, important. So having fine-grained access control to all of the images and content that's provided within Quay is also paramount. And the integration of Quay from different systems into determining what, when it comes to like integrating the automation. So I put together some Ansible automation to not only set up Quay, but also manage my organizations and my registries and my permissioning. All that's done through the API that Quay provides out of the box. And most importantly is the ability to hook into its other parts of the API, which allows you to get vulnerability assessments around the images that have been pushed to Quay. You'll see this a little later on when we talk more about the CI/CD aspects of it. As I mentioned, in addition to Quay, you have Clair. Clair is the open source tool for static analysis and vulnerabilities for all of your application containers. So everything you push to Quay can get automatically scanned by Clair to determine if there are any vulnerabilities. And you can actually perform assessments and notifications whenever vulnerabilities occur. So one of the benefits of Quay is it scans immediately when you push, but it also will scan at a routine basis because an image that I push today can be vulnerable tomorrow. And what Quay allows you to do is to learn immediately when a vulnerability is found inside your image. It's developed by CoreOS originally for Quay, and it has been tested and run at scale as part of Quay.io. Put in the comments if you've used images from Quay.io, have an account, or actually pushed content there. Really interested about that. And one of the great things about Quay and Clair is it's fully open source. You can go ahead and look at the code, contribute to the code. It's really a great project, and I'm honored to be able to work with the Quay community and the Quay engineering team at Red Hat to be able to develop the product even further. In addition to Clair, you have that notification mechanism for which you can integrate different pieces for different types of severity levels. So if a package vulnerability is found, and you can determine if you want to get notified for if it's any type of vulnerability, is it a secure vulnerability, is it critical? You can figure that out. And then you have different mechanisms for notifications, everything from a notification within Quay to a webhook endpoint. You can go ahead and call a Slack channel. You can really find out when your images become either out of date or vulnerable. As well as notifications can be found for other parts of the Quay ecosystem, everything from whenever an image is pushed to Quay, to whenever a build occurs in Quay, to whenever, as I mentioned, a vulnerability is found. The final aspect I'm going to talk about is another operator called the container security operator. This operator works in conjunction with the Quay and Clair ecosystem to notify you and to provide visual analytical data whenever vulnerabilities are found in content that is currently running on your platform. So if you have containers that are running that are in a vulnerable state, these will be found and actually notified inside the platform for you to be able to assess exactly what's running on your platform and to understand when vulnerabilities occur. This is really all part of Red Hat OpenShift's entire secure platform that OpenShift provides. And here's that integration that we talked about a second ago, where you're able to see the different types of vulnerabilities, what kind of severity level, and then you can even drill down further into where the vulnerabilities occur. And one of the best parts about this is I'm done talking, so I can actually get to the demo itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate a container security pipeline that allows you to integrate with Quay and Clair to assess whether images that are part of your pipeline are vulnerable or not. So I have a very, very simple application, a simple Java application. It's using the OpenJDK 1.8 that comes from OpenShift. If we go here to our OpenShift console, we have a few builds. We have a build config. So if you're familiar with build configs in OpenShift, you can see that, of course, internet's a little slow. Can't beat that. So hopefully we'll come back in a second. I run a test cluster, so it just happened to spin up. We'll go ahead and we have a simple build config here. It's a very simple Docker build, which allows you to basically inherit from the out-of-the-box Red Hat OpenJDK 1.8. And I'm going to just do a Docker build. It's a very simple Docker build. All I am literally doing is writing a file in there that says hello world and then pushing it to Quay. So I do all of this as part of a Jenkins pipeline, using Jenkins pipeline as code. I decided to do this inline as part of my job. It allows me to have everything in one nice spot. So when I'm demonstrating this for you all today, you can see this. Can everyone see my screen? Does it need to get a little bigger? Joseph, what do you think? Michael? Maybe a little bigger.
Make it a little
Can
bigger.
get a bigger. Yep.
Yeah, so if you're familiar with pipelines as code, it allows you to declaratively describe exactly all the different steps that you want to use from it. First step in my pipeline is I'm going to check out my code, and then I'm going to push my Docker file and my other content to a brand new build config in OpenShift. And then most importantly, after it waits for the build to complete, it's going to perform an image scan. It's going to then go ahead and check to see if there are any vulnerabilities talking to the Quay API, which in turn looks at the image metadata that has been performed whenever Claire had a chance to scan the image. And then it's going to determine, depending on the type of vulnerabilities, if any are found, whether it's going to provide a notification on the types of vulnerabilities, whether they be critical, whether they be high. We can determine if we want to go ahead and continue the build, or we probably want to stop because it does not pass our criteria. This, of course, can be fully automated, but for demonstration purposes, we have this very manual. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick off this brand new pipeline, and we're going to let that kick off for a few minutes. In the meantime, while it does that, any questions from the audience thus far that I may be able to happy to answer while we wait?
There's
I can start.
Yep.
I can go ahead and share the content. This is actually all part of a webinar that myself and another consultant in North America, Justin Goldsmith, and our financial services organization have done around different types of image container security. But I'd be happy to share with you the content of that repository. I will actually put it inside the chat right now so you can take a look at it. I can just go right here to my pipeline. And in there, I actually made some manual modifications. So it's a little different than what's going to be found inside the Git repository. This repository actually makes use of an operator that does image signing and image scanning. So what we end up doing is after we scan the image, we then go ahead and sign the image. But I left that out because it's a little too much to take on in the short amount of time we have together. So we only have the image scanning portion of it. So let's go back and see how we're doing in terms of the pipeline. It's going in and waiting for the scan to complete. We've gone ahead and we finished the build. And if we go to look at the logs, we're waiting for Claire to finish the scan process.
And just a few questions more while waiting, probably.
Yes, please go ahead.
Is there any plan to include the ability for Quay to store image signatures?
Not that I'm yet aware of in terms of image signatures. I know the next big piece of content that the Quay team is working on is around storing like application data like Helm charts. So Quay can actually store Helm charts that you can then deploy into OpenShift. In the 4.3 version of OpenShift, we unveiled in Tech Preview the ability to leverage Helm charts for application deployment in 4.4, which is out now that Michael kind of highlighted the features, and then looking into 4.5, it's fully GA. So you can start leveraging content that's pushed to Quay as part of your Helm content. While we go ahead, if you notice here in the pipeline, the image currently has 3 critical vulnerabilities and 32 high vulnerabilities. I'm a security guy. When I see 3 critical vulnerabilities, I do not want this image to go to production. There's got to be some security remediation we might be able to perform. So I'm going to go in and click the abort button. I'm not going to allow this to go to production. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my build config. We're going to go in and change the tag that this image is using. Right now it's using the 1.3 tag of OpenJDK. Let's use the 1.5 tag. This is the most recent version from Red Hat. So we're going to go ahead, save the content, and re-kick off that pipeline, have it go through another image build, have it do another image scan, and we'll see what comes up. And while it does that, we can get back to the question. If there are any. To ignore certain vulnerabilities. Not that I'm aware of that you can actually ignore certain vulnerabilities. You can get notifications on any vulnerabilities that are found, but there is no filtering of the types of vulnerabilities. What you can do, if you want, is you can get a list of all the vulnerabilities that come back as part of the API call that we end up making. It does provide that. So if you look back at the pipeline here, you can see that we are classifying the types of vulnerability data into a couple different arrays. So we have one for low, medium, high, and critical. You can go ahead and look at the data that's coming back. We only go ahead and we care about the severity level, but you can get the actual type of vulnerability. And if we go back over here to Quay, you can actually see that. So we have our Java-based image here in Quay, this wonderful user interface. We can go and click on the repository itself, click on the different tags. You'll see that 3 minutes ago we had a scan completed, 3 critical, and 115 fixable. This will show you all the different vulnerabilities and what package this was notified in, what version of the current package is, and when the fix was made. So this current version is running Java 1.8 171. This was mitigated in 1.8 191. So you then know exactly what vulnerability and how to fix it. I just happen to know that the newest version of the image has that vulnerability already assessed. And you can go ahead and look at the only fixable ones. And the good news is, out of 115 vulnerabilities that you see here, every single one of them is fixable. So you can see all the different vulnerabilities and the different security severity levels. Really kind of cool stuff. Really cool. And you can also get an insight into the different packages too. You can see all the different packages that were scanned. And even the ones that have no vulnerabilities, which is obviously good to see that we can at least say that, oh, it didn't flag everything as being vulnerable. There are certain ones that did pass successfully. Let's go back over to the pipeline, and we can see exactly where we're at right now. I hope we can see we've gone ahead and we've finished it. Let's look at the log again. You'll see if we go down to the bottom here. Oh, good, good, good. No critical vulnerabilities. We have 29 high vulnerabilities. We can go ahead and click on this link. We click on this link here. It's going to send us over to that page that allows us to see exactly what vulnerabilities are found. And click on repositories. And we can go ahead and click on the repository we're concerned about. Click on the tag. We then see no more critical. We can go in and see all the different vulnerabilities, 29 vulnerable images, and 51 high, medium vulnerabilities. Not too bad at all. So I feel pretty confident that this is a fairly safe image compared to there's no criticals. So there's obviously some areas of improvement that our teams can look into, but this should not hold back our latest production release. Let's go ahead back to Jenkins and continue this build so that it goes out to production. Go back to the console. Let's go ahead and click on proceed. Yep. Do that, and we're done. Perfect. We've gone ahead and we've fully rolled out our application all the way through to production. The last thing I want to show you is the container security operator and its magic inside OpenShift. So if we go back to our OpenShift cluster, let's go to the dashboard. The dashboard provides a holistic view over everything from your OpenShift cluster. So we can look at the current status of everything from our cluster, our control plane components, all different operators, but what's this? This is the Quay image security. If we click on that, we can see we have a number of vulnerabilities that were found. That is interesting. That is very interesting. I happen to know that a number of mine have vulnerabilities in them. One of them in particular is around GOGS. GOGS is a image registry or a Git repository, and this image has a number of vulnerabilities that were found. So if we go back to our overview page, we should be able to see all the different vulnerabilities that were found in our environment. Oops, I apologize, wrong button. And one of the cool parts about this is you can see exactly what vulnerabilities were found and where they're found. So glibc has a vulnerability, and this is here we go. Here's the GOGS image. This is the one that it found. And it says that this image from, let's see where this is from. I believe this actually shows you all the different image vulnerabilities and the affected pods. It's really cool. So you can look at all the different image vulnerabilities. I love the ability for them to show this. You can see this all through all the different projects. Let's see, I didn't load that completely. You can see all the different image vulnerabilities and all the different projects. You'll see that we have some high ones. In one that we're leveraging for our OpenShift labs, our workshop spawner, I happen to be using one of our demo environments to help get this environment going. But if I go ahead and click on this GOGS pod, you can see all the different metadata and a very similar metadata function that we saw a minute ago inside Quay itself. It's because it's pulling the data from Quay.io using the same type of API calls that we did in our pipeline. So you get the same best benefits of security assessment and reliability and insurance, regardless of if you're leveraging the hosted solutions that are out there in the cloud or if you want to run on premise. And that's one of the benefits of Red Hat solutions is you have that security enhancements that you can run inside your own data center. So you're not missing out on all the great functionality, even though you have to run it locally in your environment. If there are any questions, happy to answer it. I really appreciate the time. Thank you very much. Joseph, thank you very much, Michael, and most importantly, thank you, all of you, for allowing me to present today to all the great people of Wellington and Auckland and all across the globe. Thanks, everyone.
Oh, that's lovely, Andrew. We just have one more question here
Sure.
that's unanswered. Does the operator allow for exposing those notifications to external tools, for example, alerting and monitoring?
So what you can do is you can do a number of things. Since you are, it then becomes an OpenShift object. You can create webhook notifications upon the creation of those objects. So whenever an object is created, it actually goes through an admission process in OpenShift. So similar to how the service mesh works that Michael talked about earlier, when a new pod is created, a mutating webhook configuration is automatically mutates the pod to include the Envoy sidecar. You can go ahead and intercept that call to notify any externalized tooling, as well as you can build your own solution on top of that, on top of any of our monitoring stack as well. So you might be able to leverage a tool like Alert Manager if it comes out of the box to assess with that. But there are different types of vulnerability and notification mechanisms that are available.
It has been answered, but it might be helpful to get your thoughts on this as well. How's Clair's and Quay security features and strengths compared with other similar legacy services like X-Ray of Artifactory?
So I will say right now in the current one that I deploy, which is Clair version 2, does not have as many comprising features that the other tools like X-Ray or IQ have. However, Clair v4 is a large leap in bounds in terms of being able to become more comparable to those types of solutions. Right now, in Clair v4, you can scan all of your Python packages, and new functionality to enhance the different programming languages are coming in the near future. So if you're a Python developer, it's going to be very, very comparable. For other languages like Java and Node.js, there are plans in the roadmap.
Great.
Great.
Right.
Hey, it's Andrew here. We're going to close the poll very shortly, so if you haven't seen the poll, pile in and add your input.
Oh, and there's one more question from Brian who, that might have already been answered. Yeah, it's all part of the OpenShift subscription. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, as Andrew mentioned, make sure you vote on the poll. And I think that's it for today. And thank you so much for your time, Andrew and Michael, and another Andrew Squadron. Before we end, we are again inviting keen speakers to have a crack on our next meetup. We'll be delighted to hear from the community, so just message us or hit us up on the meetup page if you're interested. And that's all, folks. And thank you for joining us. And thank you, Andrew and Michael, for sharing the cool things that's happening around OpenShift and container security space. Hopefully, we get to see more of you since we have the virtual meetups available for everyone. So have a good day.
Just adding in there, if you've got any questions or what you want sort of follow-up discussion, just reach out to one of us. We'd be more than happy to help.
Have a good day and enjoy the rest of the week. See ya, guys.
Take care.
Cheers,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.
Cheers.